friends, truth seekers, it's Roger Bisbee back again with another video from Skill Builder, and this time I'm laying some Karndean floor. If you've never heard of Karndean floor, it's a vinyl floor, very popular, high quality flooring. It's used all over the place, it seems to be becoming more and more popular. It's used in offices, houses, flats, commercial buildings, you name it, you see it. In fact, once you've seen it, you just never stop seeing it. You see it all over the place. And this one, they've made a couple of products which are builder friendly, if you like, rather than being for the specialist flooring contractor, so you and me can get involved in it. And this one is called LooseLay. They also do one called Paleo Click, which clicks together like a laminate, but I thought I'd give the LooseLay a go. I was a bit intrigued by it actually, because I thought, that can't possibly work. How can that just lay down and stay there? But actually it works brilliantly, thanks to an invention, Isaac Newton, gravity. So thanks Isaac, checks in the post there. It's very heavy stuff. If you carry it up the stairs, you carry a box of this up the stairs, you know you've done it. It's dense, it's a glass fibre backing, friction grip backing on it so it doesn't walk around, and a tough vinyl face. When you lay it, you don't take the skirtings up, you don't try and get it under the skirtings, you lay it to the skirtings. Now you don't need to put a quadrant around afterwards. You might think that that's a bit of a tall order, a bit of a big mission, but actually surprisingly simple to do. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. But I just want to talk to you about the subfloor. You must get the subfloor absolutely flat. In the front room we had floorboards, old floorboards, 100 years old. We just caulked those up, screwed them down, made sure they were firm, and we put Fiberflex self-leveling screen over that and just rubbed that down a bit where there were a few ridges and filled in any dimples. Got that looking nice, really lovely and flat. And in this back room we had a chipboard floor. It wasn't great, I've got to say. It had a few gaps in it, a few open joints and a few raised joints as well over the years. And we just gave that a rub down with a belt sander over those seams, over the joins, just to take out any ridges like that. We actually filled in a little low spot as well with a bit of the Fiberflex self-leveler, just to get that sorted out. And we got it looking pretty good. We spent a whole day on these two floors getting them good, so I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get yourself a nice subfloor. But if you do notice when the sun streams in and you notice a little ripples you sometimes get, you can, or something telegraphing through, if the pattern of something coming through, you can actually lift these boards up, even in the middle of the floor. You can lift them up with a window sucker, fix the problem, and put the boards back down. Now try doing that with any other floor. So that's great, that's fantastic, because I've laid floors in the past, wood floors, where there's a damaged one in the middle and the customer's not happy about it and you've ended up with a repair kit or something. Nightmare. So with this, it's stress-free. Very, very simple to lay. Once you've laid it all around and cut it in, you get your crown rows down, obviously straight, lay the thing in, and when you do that, you can then lift it up around the edge with the window sucker and put in your tackifier. The tackifier comes from Karndean and it's very, very sticky stuff, a bit like Copydex. Doesn't actually stick it down permanently, but it keeps it there, keeps it from moving around. Nothing's going to move around in the middle of the floor. Sometimes when you get a bit of hot sun streaming into a window, just bake in, especially if you've got roof windows, key light windows or something like that, and it's streaming down on it, you do get those little warm areas and you could find some kind of buckle. So you can put a little bit of tackifier down on those as well. But other than that, we're just laying this random. You don't try and line up the joints or anything. You just lay it, make sure it's nice and tight in there. Keep everything clean, always have a vacuum cleaner standing by and you should be fine with it. So enough of me babbling on. I know we get comments, too much babble, not enough action, so let's get down to it. I'm going to show you how to lay it. Now what I want to show you here is the cutting of the floor. We've got a piece to cut into here and we don't know whether the wall is square or not. It's very unusual for them to be perfectly square, so we've got to cut. Obviously we've got a square finished end there, so we want our cut to be into the wall. So what we do is we look at the last complete board that we've got and we square up the board that we want to cut over the top of that one. Now, just check when you do this that you're not repeating a pattern, that you don't have two identical boards next to each other, because there are variations in these boards, but obviously you want to make sure you're not repeating the pattern too close. And then we take another complete board, and this one we're using as our marker, and we lay that to the other board. Now, we're not worried about getting that square with that other board. If this wall is out down here, then we want that board to follow that wall. So if it ends up at this end being on an angle, that angle is going to be the replica of that angle there. So it's transferring, it's like scribing, we call it. So what we do then is we butt that hard up to the wall, and as I say, we don't bother about having it square, and then that is slightly off the skew there, which is great. So that gives us our perfect line, hard up against. Then this is the trick. We then take another piece of board with a square edge, and that one is an uncut board. In other words, we're using the factory edge of that board. Now you can do this with a straight edge if you prefer, but floor layers tend to just work with a minimum of tools. We've got that one laid to there, absolutely hard up against there. We've got the board underneath, which is the one we're going to cut, laid exactly on top of the last complete board. And now we want to take our knife, and don't skimp on the blades with these jobs. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you've got a new blade. I think in a room you're probably going to be looking at 5 or 6 blades to finish the job. Now this knife, as you can see, is a very nice knife actually. I really like this Hold Force knife. It's got a nice indent there to hold it. So we want to hold the knife as firm as we can, but when we do that, what we're looking to do is follow the edge of the board here with our finger, because if you go just with the knife, you may manage to cut that perfectly. You may end up cutting into the guide that you've made, or you may end up wandering off the line on that side slightly. So we just want to make one good cut, hence the reason we keep changing the blades to make sure we're there. Now if you're not confident with knives, wear some good cut-proof gloves, or better still get somebody else to do it. You know, if it's not your game, then don't do it. But the idea is you've got to keep your hand firmly down on that guide, so it's going to be close to the blade, right? So we've got our finger around there, we've got our blade in there, and then all we want is one decisive score, and you can see I'm just following the line. Now when we get to the end, just stop there so you don't flick onto the other floorboard. And they do actually have some hardboard in the packs, which is very useful for laying under there to protect that floor. So we've got one cut there. That's all we're going to do, is that one cut. Because if you do two, you get a ragged edge. And then all we do is snap the board rather like you would plasterboard. And I'll just turn this over so you can see the next stage. The next stage is one simple cut through there. Should have done it right down to there. And that takes away the offcut. And that leaves us the piece we want to go into there. Now you'll notice that that is very, very slightly too long. And that's deliberate. The way that you do this, the way that you do it when you lay that there, is you're actually transferring the cut line back behind the blade, because if you just tried to do it the other way, like lay the board in there and cut it there, the blade, the thickness of the blade would shorten the piece you want to cut. So that's why we lay that piece down, if you like that, and we cut to that piece, because that way round we don't even get the thickness of the blade. We get an absolutely precise cut. And as I say, if you look at that, you'll see that that is too long to go in there, which is absolutely perfect. Because when we put that board in like that and we push it down, it's actually spot on. Now, when it goes into there, I can't get that one out now, so I'm going to have to use my window sucker to show you. When you get it into the edge, often you find that the edge of the room, the screed or anything else, there might be a bit of snot up there on the floorboard. So what we would do, I can't really show you this in a safe way, but what we're looking to do is just shave off a little bit, again using your finger. You're not going to cut your finger, so long as your finger moves with the knife, you'll be fine. So we just want to shave off a 45 on there, not cutting into the face of the material. That's important. We're not interested in cutting into what we've done. So you can do it this way around. I'll show you on an off cut. If you prefer, you can just go like that. It's actually an easier way to cut it, as you can see, and that way you make sure you're staying off the face of the material like that. And then what that does, if that's a little bit tight, you've now got yourself a little bit of a pliable edge which will push into the skirting. So you've just softened the edge up slightly so that if it's long, it will sit in. So we know that if we just laid that down, as you can see, there's a bit of excess material in there. This is the board we want to cut, so that's already in there. So we lay this, I'm going to lay it upside down just so you can see the difference, and then we want to push that hard into that wall there, yeah? And again, this is what I was trying to explain before. That, if you tried to cut to that edge there, your knife blade would shorten the piece you want to cut by the thickness of a blade. So let me show you this. If we use this one as our guide, which would be fine, we could get the line with that, then that one cut goes into there, right? But instead of using that one as the guide, we lay something else beside it. So there's the line that we want to cut. Now when we take that one away, instead of that knife blade being over there, we've now moved that knife blade to this side of the cut. So if you look, that board there is going to be longer by the thickness of a knife blade. And if we just cut down there now, this is me working left-handed, and I really don't want to do this. I would rather come the other way round. In fact, I don't think I can do it. I'm just not that good with my left hand, but just let me show you. So we've got our hand there, we've got our knife blade there, we've got our finger there to guide us on the edge so that we know where we're going with that. And then we want to move our hand down again. Don't go too far. Move your hand down, keep yourself adjacent to the blade. Although it feels wrong, as I say, wear some gloves if you're worried about it. But if you do that, and it's surprising how much difference it makes having your finger in the right place to the cut. Now, as I say, I'm going left-handed here, which is not my chosen way. You only want to do one cut, because if you do two cuts you get a ragged edge. And this takes a little bit of strength to do this. As you start getting to the edge of a line, you can see that one was just where I cut it twice. Do you see what I'm saying about not cutting it twice? So we want a nice clean break all the way down. Not the best, but it'll be okay. So we then cut that all the way through. We're actually even cutting it with a bit of a 45-degree taper on there, as you can see. And this has got a glass fibre core to it, so it's pretty good stuff. Easy to work with, but when it's down, beautifully durable. And that, as you can see, is another very, very tight cut. You may think slightly oversized, given that that's pushing down there, but again, we use this magic trick where we taper it from the end. We get our knife in there and we shave off at 45 roughly, put a nice bevel on it. When we put that board down, it's a bit tight. You can see there's a taper on the wall somewhere. And what we can do is just use a bit of material like that, just to get us down. So, I hope you found that useful and interesting. Come back soon. Don't forget to subscribe to us, and please go and have a look at our website, skillbuilder.uk, because we've got lots on there for you to see, and we want to build up the visitors to that site. There's all kinds of information, and we can have a bit of a conversation there. You've got any questions you want to ask, anything you need a bit of help with, if you want a second opinion on something, that's the place to go. So I'm Roger Bisbee, thanks very much for watching, and come back soon and see us.